Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Welcome to Ask the Cheeseman, where this is where you can learn about cheese making at home. Now, you may have heard Kim there in the overlay. She came in the room while I had the mic was hot. If you don't know already, we are in one of the states that are affected by the bushfires here in Australia. Not so bad where we are. We don't have huge swathes of bush around us. It's more grassland. And fields and farms and stuff like that. However, grassland can catch on fire too, so we're a bit worried about that. Yesterday we were affected by the smoke haze, and there was a air quality warning of extreme here where I live in Melton, and a bit of a worry. But the fires were nowhere near us; they were actually across Bass Strait. To the south of us, the fires were in Tasmania, so no real threat, except the air quality was really bad. Anyway, that's how things are going. It's been raining here for the last couple of days. I'm pretty sure that most of the bushfire areas have had a little bit of rain, but that certainly won't help because there's some hot days coming up very soon. And big shout out goes to all the firefighters that are out there fighting the good fight to save property, lives, and all that sort of stuff. This is episode 133 of Ask the Cheeseman. Not a firefighting update from Australia, but close enough. And thanks to all the lovely people who have sent through emails and comments and stuff like that, wishing us all the best around the fires and all that sort of stuff. But I've heard that I think there's been some firefighters sent over from California and Canada as well, who are helping to assist our worn-out boys and girls who are fighting the fires there. Anyway, let's get on with cheese stuff. Big shout out today to 2 new patrons and a YouTube member. So thank you very much to Wendy Parrington Jones and Donna Wynn. Thank you for your patronage over on Patreon. The links are down below if you want to support the show financially. And a shout out to new member Sadie Mambury, who became a member during the show last week, which was very exciting. Everybody got to see his little reward. I think you're all online anyway. Okay. So cheese stuff that we're doing over the next few weeks. We are planning, or I am planning to make the following cheeses. So I'm going to try my hand at Colonia, which is a cheese from Uruguay, which has Swiss roots. I'm going to give Morbière a go. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to try marinated feta. So they're the 3 main cheeses I'll be doing over the next couple of months. I've also, in the works that are in the cheese fridge, is a buttermilk blue based on a recipe I got from Mary Carlin's book, Artisan Cheese Making at Home. So I upscaled that and changed it a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. And another video I'm planning on doing is 5 cheeses you must make in 2020. So that I'm going to cut bits out of other clips, and we'll see how we go for that. Anyway, that's what's going on here. Oh, and there will be no live stream next week because Kim's treatment, her 3rd session of chemotherapy, starts next week. So it'll be a down week next week. This week's been great because she's recovered, but it goes in 3 weekly cycles. But that's what's going down. Okay. Shout out to, we've got test subjects. Robert from North Carolina. Amel, g'day Amel. Dominic, g'day mate. Cianis, I think that's how you say it, from North Main. We got Bilal, I think that's how you say it. Ambrose, g'day Ambrose. John Miller, g'day John. Thanks for your prayers there. Michael, g'day Michael. Sadie is there. Thank you. I just mentioned him a minute ago. John Lord, g'day John from San Francisco. Julie, g'day Julie. Karen, hello Karen, how are you? Colin, g'day Colin. What have we got? Green plums, English Guinness, g'day. Leonardus. Where else? Who else? Who else? Not where else. Goodness me. We've got Larry from Deep South Texas. G'day, Larry. Cannon from Istanbul. Ben, g'day, mate. King and Saranus. Oh, we've got that. Anyway, we've got lots of people. Craig, Gene, Dwayne, Rob Rude. Okay, who else? That's it. All right, so fantastic. So let's get on with some questions. Let's have a look. First question is from Dominic, and he says, good morning, Gavin. All the best for 2020, and to you too, mate. Just wondering if you can make a ricotta from feta whey. Yeah, can't see why not. The only ones you really can't are the acid set sorts of cheeses. So things like, let me think, the whey left over from paneer, there's not much in that. Quick mozzarella, you can't make it because it's too acidic. You'll find that the whey that's really acidic you won't be able to get much of ricotta from it. But all the other cheeses, the ones with the creamier whey, like cooked curd cheeses, yeah, no problems at all. Okay. Where are we? Julie says, hi, Gav. My cream cheese tastes like sour cream. The texture is there, but the flavour is incorrect. Any tips? Yes. So the flavour of cream cheese develops during that bag hanging session. So, when it's exposed at room temperature. So the lactic bacteria start to interact with the lactose and make it sour. The longer you hang it, the sourer it gets. So I suggest that you cut the hanging time. I think I said about 18 hours. Cut it down to about 12. See if the consistency is still there. Taste it, salt it, and it should be okay. So yeah, it's the time hanging in the bag. Or maybe, depending on the milk you're using, if you're using raw milk, well, there's already lactic bacteria present. But if you're not, then reduce the amount of starter culture that you're using in the initial batch of milk. So a little bit less starter culture, and you won't get a sour taste. Okay. Yeah, everybody's asking about the bushfires. We've done that. Thank you very much. John says, I do have a question about aging cheese. If you make a smaller wheel, say with 5 or 6 litres, would you age it for less time? Thanks from Vicksburg, Michigan. John, yes. Yeah, the smaller the wheel of cheese, the less time it takes to age. So a 5 or 6 litre batch, definitely, you could probably cut it down by a month. Depends on what the cheese is that you're making. If it's a semi-hard cheese, then yeah, for sure, you'll be able to cut the aging time down. But it's all to do with your own personal taste, really, when you look at it. So you could try a bit, then vacuum pack and then keep it in the cheese fridge to mature longer if you wanted to. Sadie says, have you done a taste test for the Montage cheese you made? I could not find it. Let me think. No, I don't think I did. it was a good cheese for about a month, and then for whatever reason, due to some health issues I was probably having at the time, I neglected the cheese and it went mouldy and it was terrible. I didn't even taste it because it was totally destroyed. I'd neglected it that bad. That's what happens when you get busy and you're a cheesemaker. You should really turn your cheeses and stuff, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So yeah, there's no taste test for the Montage, but I have heard from other people who have made it that it turned out really, really well. So the recipe is sound. Gavin's affinage or maturation just wasn't up to scratch during that cheese. Anyway, sorry about that, Sadie. Um, John, John Lord says, put on your cheese heads and slippers. It's going to be a wild four-wheel drive ride of cheesiness. Yep, it certainly is. And Colin says, thoughts and prayers from Canada going out to all those suffering from the forest fires and the brave firefighters. Indeed, they are doing a fantastic job. Belgian Swede said, hello, Gavin. Have you considered sourcing a Dutch-style cheese press to offer in your online store? Yeah, Dutch presses are pretty good. It's just a lever action. I don't have a picture per se here, but yeah, it's a lever action, and it depends on how far the weight is from the actual cheese itself, depends on the pressure. So you can use the same amount of weight, but it exerts more pressure the closer you put it to the end point of the Dutch press. It's a lever in action. Works quite well. But no, I haven't considered sourcing any. I haven't seen any local manufacturers. Maybe I should check. I'll check Etsy or eBay. eBay's crappy. Etsy probably best. See if there's anything like that here in Australia that I can pick up wholesale. But yeah, thanks, Belgian Swede, for that suggestion. Karen says, I have a question regarding your cheddar recipes. I've made the cloth-bound cheddar, the stout cheddar, the jalapeno cheddar without the jalapenos. Which recipe are you currently using for plain cheddar? Yeah, good question. The I think the stout cheddar and the jalapeno cheddar were stir curd varieties. The cloth bound was traditional cheddar. Um, when it comes down to the cheddar flavour, I know it doesn't sound like a bit of a purist thing, but I actually do prefer the stir curd recipe that I used for the stout cheddar and the jalapeno cheddar was stir curd. I think stout cheddar was normal cheddaring. I'd have to remember. I have to go back and look at the videos. Lots have happened since then. But I do like the stir curd cheddar recipe. Nice and simple. You get the same texture and the same flavour, but without the actual cheddaring process, if that makes sense. So yeah, it seems to work quite well. Tastes amazing. A lot simpler as well if you're not into the whole cheddaring shebang, and that works well. So hopefully, Karen, that has helped. I think the recipe is based on a farmhouse style I found in one of the many cheese books I've got years ago. Okay. John says, hearing that we are sending Californian firefighters to assist Australia in their brush fires. Yeah, I read that in the paper yesterday, John, and I think they may have arrived already. John says, it's okay, a New Year's habit, tap the thumbs up. That would be lovely. If you hit the thumbs up button, that means more people will actually get to see it on YouTube when it comes out. John says, time to hang out the cheese and get them smoked. Maybe a bit too soon, mate. I don't know. I'm not going to hang my cheese outside. Ben says, what's your favourite Italian cheese? Let me think. Look, obviously I like all the cheeses, as I say all the time. But one of my favourite Italian cheeses would be real buffalo mozzarella. Just absolutely tastes amazing. So that's mozzarella made with buffalo milk. So really high fat content, creamy. Oh, it's just delicious. And one of my other favourite ones would be Pecorino Romano. So the sheep's milk Romano that they make over there, it just blows your mind. It's amazing cheese, and obviously Parmesan's fantastic, and all the other Italian cheeses, Asiago and all that sort of stuff. They're great stuff, really is. Okay, King says, "Hi sir, and happy New Year. What is the best 100% natural cheese?" Well, all the cheeses I make are natural. They're made with milk. They're not processed. But yeah, it's up to your own personal taste. If you can make them naturally without any processing techniques like they make in factories, then yeah, it's 100% natural. Milk rennet salt is basically 100% natural cheese. I do tend to add calcium chloride, which is just a mineral salt, and that's for heat treated milk, pasteurized milk. But that's the only other ingredient. And yeah, you'll get yourself 100% natural cheese. Um, Sinaris, I think that's how you say it, says, "I just made a cheese press out of oak. Would you recommend to prevent, what would you recommend to prevent whey from soaking into the wood?" Um, I'm not sure. We don't have oak trees over here in Australia. We have eucalyptus trees. Um, so I'm not familiar with working with that sort of wood. I do some basic woodworking, but um, I'm not sure. I'll throw that one out to the community. If anybody's got any suggestions for Sonaris on how to stop the wood from getting whey soaked into it, I would say a good oil, natural oil. Linseed oil would probably be best. That's just from working with other sorts of woods here. It's like a chopping board. Any good chopping board, you give it a good coating of oil. We do every month with our chopping boards. And yeah, that seems to work for us. But yeah, you can give that a go. All right. The Tryptophan says, "Hello from Belgium. Thank you for all your advices. I've made St. Paulin and everybody enjoys it." Oh, that's fantastic. Um, I would like to make more cheese in one time with a bigger pan of 32 litres. Can I heat it with gas? It's probably best not to directly heat the milk. You'll get burnt milk on the bottom, and that flavour will go into the cheese. It's not very good. Um, the big factories even use steam jackets in all of their stainless steel vats. That's how they put hot water through the sidewall. So the cheese vats are actually just two sheets of stainless steel, and it's hollow in the middle, and they pump water through that to heat the milk. So yeah, it's best not to directly heat the milk because it's very hard to control the temperature. And like I said, it'll burn the milk. So if you can find some way to make a double boiler per se with a massive big pot, then yeah, give it a go. One of the things that I've been, and a lot of people are using now, are those Anovis sous vide wands. And they put them in water and then they put the cheese pot in the water and then use the Anovis sous vide wand to heat the water. So you could use that. That would work. But you just have to find a container big enough, maybe a big sink or a tub or something like that with some water in it to control the temperature of your milk. Okay. Who's this? The Uncaged. I think that's how you say it. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Have you made etorki? No, I've never heard of etorki. Let's just have a look. And it's a cheese, and it's made in the Pyrenees. I'm just looking, and oh, it looks quite nice. Made from sheep's milk. No, I haven't. I haven't made that cheese. Looks like it's very specific. Torquay means origin in the Basque language. Well, there you go. So French Basque region of the Pyrenees Mountains between Spain and France. Very good. Looks interesting. No, it's very hard to get my hands on sheep's milk, so I don't normally make sheep's milk cheeses. So sorry about that. Um, I've lost my spot. Green Plum says, shout out, please. Hello, how are you? Dwayne says, hello, Gavin and Kim. Happy New Year. G'day, Dwayne. And, gee, I'm way behind here. Jean says, greetings from Belgium. G'day. Or was that Jean? Is that how it's pronounced? Craig, g'day, mate. How are you? And Rob Rood says, nerding out in California. Lovely. Sadie says, Morbier would be great. I have one aging in the fridge right now. Wish you had done the video beforehand. Yeah, well, I wish I'd done the video ages ago too, but we're getting there. Margarita says, g'day, Gavin, Kim. G'day, Margarita. Rob says, my 30-minute mozzarella stayed grainy. I kept heating it in the microwave and it would soften, but it would not stretch. It's all to do with the pH of the milk at that time. Curds will stretch when the pH is between 5.3 and 5. If it's grainy, that sounds like the pH is either too low, so it sounds like it's below 5. Anyway, so try again. I do highly recommend getting some either pH test strips or a pH meter to check if you're going to make a 30-minute mozzarella. It's not a beginner's cheese, even though it seems to be promoted that way. 2010 Mr. Softy says, Goodyear AZ. Is that Goodyear, Arizona? Keep up the great work. Thanks, mate. Lawi, I think, speaking Arabic. I can't read it, so it doesn't matter. Sorry about that. English only, I can't translate. Jim says, hi, Gavin. Happy New Year to you and Kim. I tried some Cornish yarg recently, and it was very, very good. Any chance you could find a recipe for it? I've actually looked, Jim, and it's a very well-kept secret, is the Cornish yarg. I do know that the cheese itself is wrapped in stinging nettle leaves, which have been blanched, and the nettles, the stingers bits go away. But yeah, so that imparts some flavour into the cheese. But yeah, it's a very well-guarded secret, and I just have not found a recipe for Cornish yarg. I have looked. John says, translation says, good night. I hope to learn English to understand. Thank you. I wish I could learn Arabic so I could understand too. But Wobbly Boost says, g'day, Curd Nerd. Have a great new year. Thank you, Wobbly Boost. The Uncaged says, can you combine milks of different types, such as goat and cow, as long as you keep the fat content the same, or does it impact the process? It'll give you different tasting cheese, and yes, you can combine different milks. It does give you different flavour profiles for your cheese because the structures and the proteins and the flavours and all that sort of stuff of goat, cow, sheep, they're all different. So you could make 3 cheeses exactly the same process using 3 different milks, like one with goat's milk, one with cow's milk, and one with sheep's milk, and they will taste totally different. And case in point are the I've got 3 feta recipes on the YouTube channel, and each of the fetas tasted different, totally different. So the one with cow's milk was more creamier. The one with goat's milk was sharper, and obviously had more natural lipase in it. I did a combination with 30% goat, 70% sheep's milk, which is as per the traditional feta, Greek feta recipe, and that was the best. It was obviously the closest you could get to the PDO feta cheese, which was really good. But yeah, you can certainly mix them up, and they'll give you different flavours in your cheese. Belgian Swede says, regarding Thermophilic Culture MOT92 that you're using, contains 4 different strains, and most equivalents I've found only contain 2 strains. What do you recommend to use if I can't get MOT92 which is a culture by Sacco in the USA. Okay. I would, uh, not going into the flavour. So if you can find a normal mesophilic, which is like MA100 or MM100, which has got the two of the cultures in it, and any thermophilic with ST, Streptococcus thermophilus, in it as well, and combine those, you really only need the three. I know MOT92's got 4 strains of lactic bacteria culture in it, but you really only need 3 to get a really good parmesan, that sort of thing. And if you're using pasteurised milk for your parmesan, then I highly recommend you add in lipase as well. John Lord says, Google Cook's Info Cornish Yarg cheese recipe. I'll have a look. Let's see if there is. I'm just looking. Yeah, not a recipe per se. It just says what you have to do. 18 hours, cut, moulded, pressed. Doesn't say what culture. Yeah, I know it's wrapped in nettle leaves. Yeah, I'd have to have a look. But yeah, I know that's pretty good. Thank you, John. Appreciate that, mate. Michael says, "Hi, Gavin. Have you ever heard of or tried a cheese called I can't even pronounce it. Grostraler Netterkäse. I'm not sure. It's an Austrian cheese made in the Poor Mountain Farmers near Salzburg. It's a kind of mountain-style grey cheese. Very tasty." I've got a new YouTube member. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So that's Laura Mayer. I think that's how you pronounce it. Thank you, Laura, for your membership ongoing. Okay. No, I haven't heard of that cheese at all. I can have a look. I'll copy that down after the show. Anyway, Craig says, I made my second Shropshire Blue, or Shropshire Blue, and ensured that it didn't dry out as much when I made it made it easier to form. I read that it is a smooth and creamy textured cheese rather than a dry cheese. Your thoughts? Yeah, it's not supposed to be as dry as I made it, but I tell you what, once it was, we had some for Christmas Eve, and you probably heard me last week, Craig. It tasted amazing. It was actually quite creamy and stuff once it was in under vacuum pack and aged for a little bit longer. It wasn't crumbly at all, but yeah, it's not supposed to be as crumbly as it was when I made it. I think I let it dry out too much, but yeah, that's my thoughts. You're probably right. I also read that it's a smooth and creamy textured cheese and not as dry as what mine was. Colin says, with your triple pepper jack, which peppers would you recommend to leave out or reduce so it wouldn't be so hot? Okay, so I probably wouldn't rub it with the chipotle chili rub. I think that's what took it over the top. And it was really crumbly because, unbeknownst to me, there was salt in the rub as well. So I would leave out the rub on the outside. The insides were fine, and very, very strong. So yeah, give it a go. Karen says thank you. Thank you, Karen. And thank you for being a YouTube member for the last 8 months. Gladys says, hi, did you find the queso mano recipe? No, I haven't had time to look. Unfortunately, Christmas has been chaotic. We've just had our relatives, my son and his children have just left for Germany last night, so we've been running around with my grandchildren. So I haven't been doing any cheesy stuff whatsoever since the last show. Sorry about that, Gladys. But it is on my list to have a look at stuff. Karen says, oak is a semi-hard wood. Cutting board / mineral oil can soak the wood in a tray of oil, so let it absorb as much oil as possible. John says, possibly very light olive oil, vegetable oil, or corn oil would help the cheese board to seal oil in the pores. Fantastic tips. What else? We got Laura says, "G'day from Canada. Wondering how you keep track of all your cheeses, especially the ones you keep in your cheese cave. How often to flip them, when they'll be ready, etc." I just use my Outlook calendar on my email client. Um, After I've made the cheese, I write down the next steps for affinage, and I put them in the calendar, and it gives me a reminder, and I go and do it. And then on Saturdays, which is mainly my cheese making day, I will turn the cheeses. Any cheese that's in there still maturing, I'll give it a flip over. And any mold ripened ones, I'll go and check and make sure they're okay, and clean out the ripening box if it's got too much moisture in it. If it's getting too dry or too wet, then I'll regulate the little pop top thing on top of the ripening box. Okay. Gladys says the halloumi cheese could be made with pasteurized milk? Question mark. Yes, I have successfully made halloumi with pasteurized milk. It's not as flavoursome as, say, using raw milk. I'm yet to try the cold pressed made by a cow with halloumi, which is essentially a raw milk which has been cold pressure pasteurized. So I haven't used that to make it, but I can't see why not. I think I've got 2 halloumi recipes, and if Kim can pop both of those up, that would be fantastic. So yeah, that would work. So yeah, all good. All right, now where am I up to? Laura says, I also made a batch of Cotswold on the weekend while following your video. It smells great. Yeah, that second Cotswold recipe that I put up is really good. The addition of that garlic powder really made a difference to the flavour. In fact, I wasn't a big fan of Cotswold before that second that modification in the recipe. I think the addition of the garlic powder really did add to the onions and the chives and give it that flavour I was looking for and missing. So that's very cool. Manel says, "Hi, Gavin and Kim." G'day, Manel. Isaac says, "Hiya." Isaac says, "Is there any cheaper alternative to rennet?" Depends on the cheese you're making, mate. If you're just making acid set cheeses, then yeah, vinegar or lemon juice will do. However, if you're making recipes that ask for rennet, then you need to use rennet. There is a cheaper alternative. Go and get the fourth stomach of a calf. Dry it, salt it, and use little bits of that. That's got rennet in it. That's how they used to do it in the old days. Cyanus, I'm pronouncing it wrong. All right, sorry. Cyanus says, "Thanks, Gavin, everybody, for the response. Off to assign more cars to be repossessed." Oh, okay. George says, "I hope you're okay, man." Yes, I'm doing okay. Somebody from Korea, I think, is, let me just, what's that say? Not sure. Well, I'm very slow at this. I'm using translator. Will it tell me what it says? It says Angel. Oh, Angel. Hello, Angel. Was that Angel's name or was that me? I'm an angel. Thank you. Very nice. Manel says, "I'm waiting a tutorial for liquid cheese such as Kraft." Well, the closest you'll get to it is either the spicy melty cheese or the American cheese, Manel, and that's the recipe you should use. Just add more water to the recipe, and the cheese will become more liquidy and runnier. So there you go. The recipe's there. You just got to modify it a little bit. Just add some more water. I can't remember how much water I used to add it to that cheese, but yeah, you'll get a cheese sauce per se. If is that what you're after, then yeah, that'll be good. John says translation from Arabic for Louay. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but says, "I wish you a happy new year 2020 to you, sir, and all those who follow your beautiful channel." Thank you very much. John's doing all the translations for me. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. It's very hard to do that when you run on a show as well. Okay. And the translation from the Korean, Wongung says archery angel. Oh, okay, that's what it says. Isaac says most challenging cheese and worst mistake you've made in regards to cheese. The worst mistakes I make in regard to cheese is during their maturation, on forgetting that they're there sometimes and not taking care of them. That's my worst mistake always. That's my biggest downfall. I do manage to rescue most of them, so it's not that bad. The most challenging cheese, ooh, any of the mold ripened cheeses, they're always they're very fickle. You've got to have the right conditions for them, and really take care of them during maturation. 70% of the process of cheese making is in the maturation. Really, the making the cheese itself, turning it into curds from the milk, is quite simple. It's the rest of it. It's once you've got it out of the press, that's the hard bit. So yeah, so all mold ripened cheeses are always challenging because you've got to control that mold in the way it's meant to be controlled. And if you step outside those parameters, you get all sorts of funky stuff. So unfortunately, the young Cage says, "Thank you so much for this opportunity to learn. Sending hearts or love from Washington. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it." Um, where else? Manel says, "Can you tell me the sweet cream cheese?" Yep, Kim, if you can pop the link up to the original cream cheese recipe for Manel, and you'll find that. Mitch says, "You're from Australia, right?" Yep, indeed I am. Thank you very much. I hope you stay safe. Yes, we are. 2010, Mr. Softy says, "Gavin, I'm having a problem with my something keyboard by the sounds of it." All right, I can't see anything else. No, nothing else. Megan says, "Why is it when you add rennet to the milk, you cannot stir for more than 1 minute?" Good question, Megan. What happens is that we've got a super chat. Sorry, halfway through a question, I got a super chat, but that's cool. I'll just cancel the flashing sign. And the super chat, $10. Thank you very much, Jim Jackson. Appreciate it. Your comment is, all hail the king and queen of curd nerds. Hope that Kim is on the heel and doing well. Come on, fellow curd nerds. With 21 watching, there's your little thing. Thank you, Jim. 21 watching, we should be more than just 21 likes. Indeed. No one's forcing you to press the like button, but it will be nice. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate your $10 super chat. Thank you, mate. So the question below was, why do you not stir for more than 1 minute? Right, okay. So the rennet starts working straight away. So by stirring more than a minute, you're actually disturbing the rennet from doing its job. At about the 12-minute mark, it actually starts to set. So you don't have very long after you add the rennet and stir it for no more than 1 minute, of course, as I say all the time, before it starts to set. You're going to break up that action. The rennet enzyme helps the casein proteins turn into a matrix which set the curd and separate it from the whey. So, yeah, that's why you don't stir for more than 1 minute. You'll start to get sloppy curd. Very bad. Okay. Where are we? Kim's put up the 2 halloumi links. Thank you very much, darling. That first link she put up at 9:03 was with pasteurized milk, and the first one I made, the second link, it was made mostly with raw milk. I got similar results, so that was good. Ambrose says, "Hi Gavin, have you ever made mature cheddar with mushrooms? I just tried some and it was good. Would like to try making it with goat's milk as my skin doesn't like cow milk or cow dairy." No, I haven't made anything with mushrooms. Um, or have I? No, I haven't. Um, the mature cheddar with mushrooms, I would think. Did you use? Oh, you just tried some. Okay, you haven't made it. Okay, I think they probably would use dried mushrooms. I certainly wouldn't see any fresh mushrooms. They'd get mouldy, and the spores would get in everything. So I think they would have used like dry porcini mushrooms or something like that, or shiitake. Um, but yeah, I would put it in when you mill the cheese. Um, Ben says, how do you make sure your hands are 100% bacteria free when rotating the cheese every day? I keep getting contamination after a while, even though I'm super, super careful. Um, I just simply wash them with hot soap and water and spray them with white vinegar. That's the best way you can get rid of yeast and molds. It's not the bacteria that is such a problem with cheese, it's the molds that grow on the outside of it. They kind of have a bit of a runaway effect, especially if you've got dirty hands. If you start seeing black mold spots on your cheese, it means your hands are dirty when you turn it. What you can do is wear gloves. Pretty simple. Those neoprene purple gloves, they work fine. And that would stop contamination on the surface of the cheese if you so desire. So, Ben, hopefully that works. AG Rambo says, I love this guy. Just started watching. I'm hooked. Just ordered some stuff. I'm going to try my hand. Good on you, AG. Sounds like you're going to be a curd nerd. Wildcat Matt says, how long can cheese sit out at room temperature after maturation? Well, it's always best to put your cheese out at room temperature before you eat it for at least 30 minutes so it comes up to room temperature and you get better flavors when you eat the cheese. However, you shouldn't, once it's mature, you should put it in the fridge. It lasts longer. Um, Otherwise, you'll see that the cheese will either sweat, usually does. You'll get little bits of fat appearing on the outside of the cheese. It'll dry out too quickly. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't store it at room temperature unless you've got a very cold basement to keep it in. But yeah, get it to 4 degrees as quick as you can after you finish maturation, and then you won't have too many issues. Heroic says hi from India. G'day, Heroic. Herb says, damn it, man, errands delayed me. Hello from Houston. G'day, Herb. Artie says, g'day and bonjour from Grenoble in the French Alps. Kill me now. G'day, mate. How are you, Artie? Artie says, ever done those awfully stinky cheeses, but so good that you can't touch them with fingers? They are matured, being washed from time to time with beer. Or some alcohols like Amad Suze or Chimay in Belgium or others from the north of France. I have had lots of stinky cheeses. I've made them myself. Cheeses like Brick and Limburger and even Munster is fairly stinky, but I've never washed them with alcohol. So no, I haven't done any cheeses like that, but I've certainly had my share of very stinky cheeses, and my cheese fridge attests to that. Anyway, but yeah, they are excellent. I have tasted them, and they do taste amazing. John says Cornish Yarg grey, 13th century. Yeah, Yarg is just grey backwards. It's the person who invented it. 13th century, Holstein milk, vegetable rennet, Caerphilly style, semi-hard, sold young. Creamy inside, crumbly outside, now passing US FDA and being sold here. Oh, okay. Sounds like Caerphilly on steroids, doesn't it? Sold young. Young would be what, a month? Yeah, it sounds interesting. I could probably adapt my Caerphilly recipe, wrap the cheese in stinging nettle leaves, and you probably get the same sort of flavour, I would think. Um, yeah, that would be cool. George Washington, didn't know he was still alive, but yeah. Do you know about the Self-Sufficient Me channel? He's an Aussie doing vids on growing veggies and stuff. No, I haven't heard of him, but I'll go and check him out. John says, creamy, herby, potential mushroom flavour with green-black mould on the leaves. Yeah, very interesting. Megan says, your voice is so soothing when you narrate. Considering putting a playlist of videos to listen for people to sleep. Yes, I have considered that, Megan, doing some sleep stories, but I haven't got around to doing it yet. They'd be all cheesy, of course. Tyler says, hello from Canada. I don't have a question this time. I wanted to say my co-workers and I watch you all the time when we're working. Keep being you and kicking ass. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it, mate. Yes, I will keep me. Keep calm. Keep calm and make cheese. Yeah, you didn't see the rest of the T-shirt, but yeah. Matt says, hey, Gavin, do you think unhomogenized milk is worth paying for over double the price for compared to homogenized milk? Yeah, indeed, Matt, I do. I really do. You'll get a better quality cheese. You'll get a better curd set every time. And as long as it's not ultra pasteurized, just normal pasteurization, it should be fine. Really good. I definitely, the local producers that I've used to source unhomogenized milk from around our area are absolutely fantastic. The milk is top quality. So, yeah, definitely get some. If you can find some. Usually found in health food stores or natural stores and stuff like that. But yeah, unhomogenized milk is perfect for cheese making. Really is. I've been using Inglenook Dairy, who do supply milk to the for my most of my cheeses, and yeah, I cannot fault it. It's great milk. Megan says, living in Wisconsin, cheese is life. I've started my home state, the land of milk and cheese. I've started my home state, the land. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Megan. Erop says, hi from Russia, with love, of course. There's a great reference to James Bond movie. Do you know any good Russian cheeses? Because I don't. No, I don't know any Russian cheeses. And it's very hard since Mr. Putin put up that cheese embargo on all of the European cheeses coming into the country. One of the reasons we can't ship to our stuff to Russia either is because they keep confiscating it. So we don't ship to Russia. Yeah, I don't know any native Russian cheeses. I don't think it was probably a big thing back in the day. So yeah, if you can come up with a recipe and shoot it my way, that'd be cool. Artie says, thanks for the answer. No problems, Artie. Herb says, had a baby Swiss fail during the aging process a week ago. It went fine for about a week, and then the wheel went very soft. Pasteurized milk make went well. Washed with brine. Ideas why? Yeah, Propione Shamani. If hopefully you use some of that to make the air bubbles, the eyes in the cheese. So what happens that it actually transforms the cheese and it makes it softer. So it will go soft, yes. If you put too much in, then you get too much eye development and too much. I think it's proteolysis, which a change in the proteins of the milk, and it makes it softer. So maybe ease off on that. I don't know how much eye development happened. You didn't say, so that would be my diagnosis. Ben says, if my blue cheese is also covered in white fluffy mold, is it safe to eat? Yes, that'll be Penicillium candidum or Geotrichum candidum, natural in the environment. But yeah, just scrape it off and eat the cheese. It'll be great. Jim says, sometimes Yarg is wrapped in wild garlic leaves. Oh, that would be so nice. So nice indeed. Jim says it works for his dogs. They go right down as he is speaking. Indeed. In fact, where is she? There's Holly the Wonder Dog. Holly. 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 Nope, she's sleeping. That is a dog in the chair. For those who can't see it, spot the dog. Her head's buried in the arm there somewhere. But yes, my voice does make them go to sleep. Rain says, "Hi Gavin from Canada. None of my cheeses melt. Do you think it's the milk products grocery store? I made your raclette, Monterey Jack, and cheddar. None of it melts. Not high enough fat content by the sounds of it. Because it's the fat in the cheese that helps it melt, basically. Try a different milk. I would think that's probably the case. Also, it could be too dry. You could be using too much rennet. That also does inhibit cheese from melting if you use too much rennet because there's not enough moisture in the cheese. But yeah, I'm thinking it could be not enough fat in the milk. Add some cream to the milk, and that would help. Not much. For 10 litres, I would add, especially if you're using store bought milk, which I think in Canada is 3.25% standardized, then I definitely would add in 250 millilitres or a cup of milk, cup of cream. Make sure the cream's not ultra pasteurized. And that should help. And it's got to be pure cream. It can't have any additives like gelatin or what's it called? Carrageen, something like that. That can't have any additives to it. The Uncaged says, what should one look out for when adding flavors to cheese, and when is the best time to add them? Look, lots of herbs and spices lend themselves to making cheese not better, but more flavoursome. Although good cheeses stand on their own, of course. Add them during milling time. So just before pressing, usually. So when you're adding the salt to the cheese, if that recipe states it, add salt to it, or just before you put the curds into the cheese basket before pressing. So mix whatever herbs, spices, flavours you want to add to the curds and then press them. That's the best time. Colin says Holly Cam. Yes, indeed. Let's one more check. Oh, she's moved. Holly, hello. Say hello to everybody. Oh, okay. You're sleepy. Sorry. Sorry to disturb you. Didn't mean to. Megan says started cooling. Started cooling. No, didn't get that reference. Must be to the dog. Yes. Matt says, "Hey Gavin, I made Gouda 4 months ago, and just tasted it. It was very similar in taste to a Swiss style cheese. Is this how a young Gouda should taste? Yeah, roughly. It does taste a little bit nutty, but yeah, age it longer. If you can age it, we'll cut it in half and vacuum pack it and put it back in the cheese fridge, or wax it. Wax it's just as good. Age it for up to 12 months and you'll get a really sharp Gouda. So that'll taste really nice. Dejo Blue says, is there such a thing as Roquefort Camembert? Yeah, kind of. It's called Cam Blue or Cambenzola. They're the varieties. And yes, you can get a blue cheese with white mold on the outside. Elliot says, the Cheeseman. Yes, that's me. Herb says, on milk types, board and whole milk, vitamin D works well in the US. For cheese making, it's not homogenized, only pasteurized. So use calcium chloride, indeed. I always tend to use calcium chloride for pasteurized milk because it adds a bit more soluble calcium back into the milk and allows a better curd set. If you don't, you'll get a sloppy curd set. It's shocking. Okay, Rain says, Gavin, could overculturing cause a tangy cheese? Yes, could. It certainly could. By the way, I made your Jarlsberg. Oh my goodness. The best cheese I've ever made. Thank you so much for the recipe. Indeed, I've had some fantastic feedback for the Jarlsberg cheese. Really does taste great. So if Kim can find the link, if she hasn't already, pop up the link to Jarlsberg. Great cheese. In fact, I'll put it on my list of 5 cheeses to make. You must make. They'll make it 6 cheeses you must make. Jarlsberg. Okay, cool. All right, good. Thank you. Great tip. And thank you, Rain. Merlin in Alaska, what's your worst cheese? Ooh. Making story. What's your worst cheese making story? Nice. Found that. What's my was Saint Marcelin. Go and have a look at the video. Taste test is something to behold. Kim says, found a place online where you can purchase wild garlic seeds from. Oh, nice. Yeah, when we get winter again, hopefully that'll be soon. Yeah, that'll be good, honey. I'll sow some of those. Edgar says, have you been to Italy or France on a trip? Yes, I have. Back in 1987, I did a Kentucky tour of Europe. So I had a whirlwind 21-day tour around Europe, and I went to France, had lots of cheese, lots of wine, and did the same in Italy as well. We didn't go any further south than Rome, unfortunately. We should have. That would have been nice. But yes, we sampled lots of yummy cheese. It was good. I wish I could actually go to Europe on a cheese tour. Or the US, for instance, would be great for a cheese tour. Go to visit Wisconsin, the cheese state. Well, even though I've heard there's lots of great cheesemakers all over the country. It will be good. We'll get there one day. Rain says, Gavin, I think the creams here all have additives. I need a cow. Thanks so much for the answer. No problems at all, Rain. John says, closest style of any Roquefort Camembert will be getting fresh, young, seriously creamy gorgonzola with only a trace of salt. We get it at local Sprouts or Whole Food stores. Yeah, the gorgonzola dolce, yeah, that's the one, is a really young gorgonzola, but doesn't have so that's a very runny blue cheese if you leave it up to room temperature, but it doesn't have any of the white mold on it. So my Cam Blue it didn't turn out 100%, but it turned out a fantastic blue cheese. A little bit of white mold on it, not as much as I wanted to. N. Rose Leus, I think that's how you say it. G'day, curd nerds. G'day, mate. Jimbo says, I'm thinking of starting my own cheese business. Any tips would be appreciated. Yeah, go and do a cheese making course. Jimbo would be a good suggestion. I don't have any experience in setting up a cheese business, so I cannot give you any tips, unfortunately. Oh, goodness. Kim's giving me the wind up. It's that time of the day. Thank you so much for watching, Curd Nerds. I really appreciate it. The next show won't be for a while. I will schedule it when Kim's back on her feet from the third chemo session. Usually takes about 2 weeks before she's feeling well enough to do anything around the house and helping moderate. So it'll be about 2 weeks of no live streams, but I'll put some videos up in between. But it won't be for a while, so hopefully she's tolerating it okay. She had some, not complications, but things we expected going on. But yeah, it should be all good. Anyway, thank you so much for all your questions. Without the questions, it wouldn't be a show, of course. And thanks for watching. Yeah, you can visit our store over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Let me just get that up on the thing. There we are. I've got a bit of an alert saying that there is some shipping issues because of the bushfires, but that's cool. And you can go to the cheese making supply section and check out all the categories. We ship globally, except to countries we're not allowed to. So go check that out. littlegreenworkshops.com.au is the place. Also, for those who haven't heard, I do have some of my podcast episodes. I'm releasing one every 2 days over at Little Green Cheese. If you go and find that, and I'll put the link in the description down here somewhere. This is my new cheese channel. So I just wanted to keep the podcast separate than the normal channel because it mucks up the YouTube algorithm when you confuse the heck out of it. So, yeah, you can pop over to that link. And don't forget to subscribe to that channel, and then you'll get notified every second day when a new episode comes out. I'm doing that to catch up, basically, because I've got like 83 episodes that I'm putting out there. You can already find them over at the Little Green Cheese podcast over at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio. They're all there. You just go and search for Little Green Cheese Podcast and you'll find it. Anyway, yep, so don't forget you can get merch. There's a merch store down below. You can check out the T-shirts like this one. Keep calm and make cheese, and the merch. Nice picture of me sitting on a cheesy chair. Thank you very much. And yeah, don't forget you can get all that. And where else? What else? What was the other thing Kim reminded me of? That's it. I think that'll do. But thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate your time and all the questions. And as I said, wouldn't be a show without the questions. Well, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time. I'll schedule the next show in a couple of weeks. Bye.